Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my storytelling channel. I appreciate you spending some time with me today. Currently, we are listening to Kale and Harmony in the courtroom. Share with me. Do you think he did it?
We're both lost at a day. Pretty much similar. I don't wanna hear your thoughts. You don't wanna feel my skin.
Harmony watched Kale sitting in complete control of his emotions on the stand, and she wanted to wipe that smirk off his face. Her hands were trembling, and she wasn't sure why. Normally, when she was grilling someone, she was in total control. Yet Kale Viser had the ability to break her down with a single look. Mr. Viser, how long ago did you divorce Celia Tran? It'll be 5 years next month. And have you had any contact with her since? No. Mr. Viser, is it normal for you to drink until falling into a drunken state? No. But that night you did. He shrugged. I was having a good time. Do you have a good time often? Objection, Your Honor. She's badgering my witness, Duke said. Your Honor, in order to really understand how he did not hear a single thing, it is needed for the jury to know his background of heavy drinking and partying, Harmony said. I will allow it, Judge Wilkes said. Kale shrugged. I always have a good time. Would you like to find out? Keep it clean, Mr. Viser, Judge Wilkes said as Kale smiled. Harmony knew this type of trick he was playing. He was trying to get under her skin, and it wasn't going to work. She wouldn't allow it to. The kind of man Kale Viser was, she looked at him as the scum of the earth. She smiled and ran a hand through her hair. Mr. Viser, it seems to me that you are not at all concerned about yourself. You're on trial for murder and you seem to be flirting with me, the prosecutor who wants you in prison. Tell me, why are you so certain about how you feel? He leaned forward. Miss Lovington, I am a man of my words, and I know what I did and did not do. I made love to her several rounds, yes. I drank a ton of wine, yes. I blacked out, yes. But I did not kill her. So you're saying you woke up and she's lying in your bed, butchered like an animal, and you have no recollection of anything? Yes. Harmony smiled. No further questions. Soaking in the tub, Harmony felt her toes and fingers become prunes as she stared at the leaky faucet. She had told herself to get someone to fix it 6 months ago. Shutting her eyes, she let the warm water relax her, and the heaviness of sleep called her into a drifting state. She woke when she felt the water had gone cold and she was shivering. Draining the water, she got out and wrapped a towel around herself as she rushed to the closet to pull out a pair of sweats. As she did, she felt a gush of wind against her skin, and she swung her head around to find her balcony window was wide open. Frowning, she slowly walked over and saw the curtains rise and fall as her heartbeat kicked up. Something was making a whistly sound from the outside, and when she finally came to the opened window, she saw that it was a sheet of paper taped against her railing with a photo of a razor blade in a pool of blood. Are you okay? Brian asked as the CSI team collected the evidence and began leaving. Harmony was sitting on a couch wrapped in a blanket, feeling as if her entire world had gone up in flames. It had taken her 2 times to call Brian out since she had been trembling so much. I'm not sure, she whispered. I'll dust it for prints, but I doubt I would get anything. Whoever did this was probably wearing gloves. And are you sure you did not leave the window open? Brian, I am positive, okay? I never leave anything open. I'm a prosecutor, and the first thing I do is make sure no one can hightail me home. He put his hands up. Okay, okay. I was just asking. This feels a little too much like what happened in court today. What do you mean? He asked. She raised her head to look at him. Kale Viser repeating that he woke up with the window opened, and Bella Stein dead on his bed. I feel like I'm reliving what happened. He came to kneel down before her. Look, you're tired. I can see it in your eyes. Why don't you ask for a few days off from the trial and return to court again when you're over this mess? It's going to follow you around and you might get yourself hurt. If anything, Judge Wilkes would be on your side if she knew this happened to you. No, it's okay. It could just be a coincidence. Maybe Kale got one of his PR to pull a trick on me or something. What good would he do for him if he did that? Harmony didn't answer the question because she honestly had nothing to say that would make sense. Look, I'll get back to you on what I find regarding Prince. In the meantime, I think it's best if you stay with a friend or something. I worry about you, and this case isn't like any others you've handled. You're working with a pop artist who is very well known. Thanks, Brian, but I'm a big girl. I can handle this. It was around 4 in the morning when Harmony heard the sound, and it woke her up. It was like someone had pried open the door and was slipping inside her home. She sat up in bed and reached for the first thing she had beside her for protection. It turned out to be a book. Well, it would serve her good for not putting a bat there. She got up and paused, listening as the house got silent. Maybe whoever it was had already left. As she lowered her guards, she felt the hand around her neck and swung her to the floor. The impact left her breathless, and a rope was around her neck, squeezing, taking her very life. What would she do? She felt around her for something, anything, and her hand landed on her stiletto heels. She took it, and with all the energy she had left, brought it backward toward the intruder's face. It hit something, and she was freed, coughing and gasping for breath. When she turned around, she saw what looked like something dark run out her balcony window. I found nothing regarding Prince, Brian said as he tapped her hand. He was watching her in the hospital bed, her neck an awful black and blue display of pain, and she was looking downward at her fingers. Hey, are you okay? He asked. She shot her head up and forced a smile. I'm beginning to think I've got bad luck. Nah, you're good luck. I speak from experience. He smiled and pulled a chair to sit down. Look, Judge Wilkes is putting the trial on hold for a few weeks because of what happened to you. I don't like the idea of you staying alone. I want you to move in with me for the time being. She shook her head. No, it would look bad to the public if I were to do that. Kale Viser even brought up the fact that you and I were an item. I mean, how did he know that? Did he follow me or something? Brian shrugged and leaned back in his chair. Who cares how he knows? The fact of the matter is you're not safe alone, and I'm worried about you. That was a close call, Harmony. I know. I injured whoever it was. I don't know where, but when I looked at my stiletto heels, it did have blood on it. Unfortunately, nothing came up on the DNA scan, but I am sure an injury like that can't be hidden. I want to talk to Kale. Brian shook his head. No, I don't like that idea. Brian, the man was sitting in county jail when this happened. I need to know what's going on. He watched her and then let out a very heavy breath. Harmony, are you saying this because you suddenly believe he's innocent? She was quiet for a moment. I don't know. I'm not saying he isn't. I'm not saying he is. But the story doesn't add up right. If he was in jail, who would want to hurt me? I'm prosecuting him for murder, but it looks like whoever did it doesn't want him to go down taking his credit. I see what you mean. I don't want you meeting him alone. I'll arrange a time with him and we'll go together after you are released. Kale watched as Harmony sat across from him, dressed all in black with a scarf around her neck. The detective was sitting next to her, and they both looked quite comfortable. He knew they were screwing around, but it didn't bother him. A woman who looked like Harmony, any man would try to get her into bed. He leaned back in his chair, bored, as he touched the silver handcuffs on his wrists. Miss Lovington, you asked for this meeting. What is it I can do for you? He asked. I need you to repeat to me what happened the night of the murder. He raised his eyebrows. Why? Did you not ask me in court the other day? That was in court, and you may be holding back the truth. Today I am coming here to speak to you as a woman, not as an attorney. You mean as a state's prosecutor who wants to see me in death row? She didn't answer him, and he laughed. Isn't this against some sort of law here? I'm here not because of the state. I'm here because for once I might actually believe you are innocent. Kale swallowed hard as he sat up, and then she removed her scarf and showed him the black and blue injury. He swore and asked, What happened? Seems like someone may not like your taking credit for their work. I was assaulted not once but twice in my own home shortly after our day in court. You were in county jail, so you're free and clear of any suspicions. But I need to know what you remember that you did not tell the jury. Miss Lovington, I was under oath. Everything I said was the truth, and if you believed I lied, that's all on you. I'm not saying you lied, Harmony said as she leaned forward. I'm saying that maybe you were dealing with something you didn't know then. This got his attention, and he leaned forward. What do you mean? She took a deep breath, and then she said, Do you believe your drink was poisoned with a sedative to knock you out? Kale hadn't thought of this until she mentioned it. She rubbed her temples and then continued. The reason why I ask you is because how can a man like you, who has a high tolerance of alcohol, suddenly become so drugged that he doesn't remember anything? He nodded. I see your point. But my question is, why are you suddenly interested in getting to know the truth? Weren't you dead set on me being put down for life? She wrapped the scarf back on her neck and gave him a soft smile. Mr. Viser, although I am a prosecutor who puts guilty people into jail, the word here is guilty. Yes, I believed you were until I was proven wrong that someone out there is not liking the fact that you're the main star of his work. People make mistakes. How is this going to play in the courtroom, Miss Lovington? Leave that to me, Mr. Viser. I want you to recap everything to me about the night of the murder. 6 months ago. I'm tired, Kale said as he tried to push open the door from the club to go outside. The loud music was blaring, and his ears hurt as he tried to focus on the surrounding. Bella was smiling at him with a lopsided grin. Either it was that way, or his eyes were fooling him. She reached for him and ran a finger down his arm. Oh, come on, Kale. It's early. It's barely midnight. You can't leave now. The fun is just about to begin. He smiled and felt his throat beginning to close up. Bella, I'm tired. If you're going to stay, you can, but I'm leaving. You can come with me or not. She made a face and then reached for his hand. Why would I stay when the star is gone? She kissed him, and he could taste the alcohol on her tongue. Leaning against him, he supported her as they walked toward the door where his driver was waiting for him. Once they got settled in, he felt his head begin to throb, and as she leaned across him to undo his belt buckle, he pushed her gently back. Hurt, she sat up and pushed away her hair. What's wrong with you? Bella asked. He cleared his throat and tried to focus his thoughts. I'm exhausted, and I'm drunk as hell. Now is not the time for this. Let me catch my breath first. She ignored him and then turned to the side as he shut his eyes. The car began moving, and he felt the urge to vomit, and he leaned forward, holding his head in his hands. The massive surge of nausea stopped, and he leaned back in his seat. He kept his eyes shut, and it took half an hour before they reached his home. Bella woke him up and helped him out of the car. They walked into the lobby, where they got into the elevator, and hit the top floor. Once inside his apartment, she began to undress him and gave him a glass of water. It felt good to drink that, and it made his head less foggy. When she initiated lovemaking, he accepted, but he couldn't remember how many rounds they shared before his vision blacked out. Present. Do you believe something was in that water she gave you? Harmony asked as she stared at him. The way he looked at her made her slightly uncomfortable, almost as if he could see right through her. He was tested for drugs and his body came clean, Brian said. The only toxin still swimming in his system was the alcohol he drank. Detective, are there sedatives that can pass a screening? Kale asked. He shrugged. I'm not an expert in that area, but I can surely ask my team members who do the toxicology testing for us. I would appreciate it if you did. With a much clearer head now and the questions Miss Lovington has imposed on me, I am beginning to realize that there is a lot more that I may have lost out on while I was unconscious and sedated. I do too, Harmony said as she leaned forward and laced her hands together. Mr. Viser, I believe that there's more to this story than what meets the eye. I'm going to go back to talk to Lola and get a clearer picture. I feel that she's not being honest with me. Thank you for tuning in. Chapter 4 will be out shortly.
We're both lost at a day. It's like a sign. Pretty much similar. Harmless heartbreak. I don't wanna hear your thoughts. You don't wanna feel my skin. It's you just wanna dream of sin. Sickness floating in our veins. Players in a spotlight game. So fancy when I'm in the spotlight. I'm still adoring my privacy. A craving that is knocking you out. Just getting visions from my eyes. They got hunger when I'm not holding you tight. I'm feeling your eyes and you love it. Cause the distance feeds your limit, alright. I am feeling your eyes and you love it. It's sick and difficult, but we're not ashamed. Pretty damn mutual. We're not sentimental. No sentiments, no. So fancy when I'm in the spotlight. I'm still adoring my privacy. A craving that is knocking you out. Just getting visions from my eyes. They got hunger when I'm not holding you tight. I am feeling your eyes and you love it. Cause the distance feeds your limit, alright. I am feeling your eyes and you love it. Your thoughts. You don't wanna feel my skin. You don't wanna feel my skin. You just wanna dream of sin. Sickness floating in our veins. Players in a spotlight game.